Hey there guys, Noah here, and welcome back to another Vanguard unboxing video. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, but a recent product came out, and honestly, me and her are kind of excited. Me more so, because I get to actually try out Granblue in Premium, which is something I've been looking forward to for a while, but joining me for this is Miracard.
Hi everyone.
So, I said I was going to do this at some point because, well, I was honestly not expecting him to make, like, a whole, like, set like this. I don't think anyone realistically was.
A lot of people were happy about it, though.
Oh, yeah. And this is probably, like, one of the best ways to get into Premium right now, I personally feel like. So, yeah, I didn't get sponsored from Bushy Road at all, but all the other content creators did, you know? Then again, I only recently just got back into it. But let's crack this thing open and see what we got inside. All right. Throw the wrapper away, and now we've got the thing open. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up like this. And, oh boy, yeah, there's some really good stuff in here.
I already like that shiny that I see right there.
Yep.
Can I have that?
You gotta have this? Okay.
You don't want to show the audience what the,
Yeah, we're gonna open that in a second. I just want to take the contents out of here first.
I like this box.
Yeah, very nice and pretty, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
They usually do good with these, boxes. The,
yeah.
Deck set. Didn't Chronojet come in like this box too?
Yeah, it kind of came in a box like that, and you also get like little markers and whatnot, so that's actually pretty neat.
I like this box.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take full advantage of it. Here, if you wanna, I guess, do we want to open it like?
I would just do one at a time, I guess.
All right, so I'm gonna open up mine real quick.
Or you might want to show on camera what you're trying to open now.
So, you get the quick shield, which has the Granblue logo, which is pretty nice, and you also get some protect markers, both Protect 1 and 2, and kind of a little like go at second card, which is pretty nice.
Are they one-sided markers?
Yeah, they're one-sided markers, but you get more than enough to have enough, so you'll have enough for both Protect 1 and 2.
So how many did yours come with?
Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm assuming it's 5 each, with one of them being foil, so.
Alright, well, I'll show off the Pale Moon one, I guess.
Got it?
Yeah. I opened mine daintily. Okay, so the quick shield. I actually just noticed it's not the shiny one that they had first released back in how long ago was it?
Ooh, 2020, back when COVID was being.
No, it was before that.
No, it was. Remember, because it was with the set with these two.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. And then I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this one's the shiny one up
Yeah,
there.
you get one foil of each. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but
I was gonna say it is.
Actually, you can kind of tell, but
yeah, you can if you bring it.
If you view it a little close enough, like you'll see that there has a little bit of a foil, which is pretty neat.
I'll put those two next to each other so people can kind of see. This is the foiled one. This is the non-foiled one.
Yeah.
And then the XL2 foiled one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well.
And then you get the going first one.
Or... Oh, okay.
So that's why they had it like that one's going first, this one's going second.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, I'm gonna start off with my Granblue list, or the one that they come in the package. I am probably gonna be making a lot of edits to it because I definitely want to give Granblue a try.
I also have Stoicheia stuff I need to give to him.
A lot of Stoicheia stuff, but honestly,
I'm going to preemptively open mine so that way
we don't have this issue later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that way everyone can just see the stuff.
So yeah, they come up pretty wrapped up like this. So pretty much right out the box, you get, 2 playable decks. You got Night Rose with like Beatrix support, with a relatively solid Jizo that you'll probably need a few staples for. Commander Jaime did a very great video covering Granblue in general, so I'd highly recommend to go check him out for that because he probably knows way more about Granblue than I ever will. But we're going to go ahead and crack this open real quick. Start with the main deck first because there's a lot of really good stuff in here. So you get 2 copies of Night Rose, which that's pretty much all you realistically need for the list. You get 2 copies of Skull Dragon, which I feel like you go up to 3 or 4, and then for the remainder of the grade 3s, you get 4 copies of Beatrix and 2 Night Storms. So not too bad, honestly. I think you could maybe afford to cut down on a Night Storm to add another Skull Dragon in, but pretty much very solid list. If you want to make this more of a Night Rose centric list, you could just up the Night Rose count to 3, but universally it's good. Up next for our grade 2s, we've got 2 copies of the Greed Shade. Definitely, I feel like you could max this out if you really feel like it. You know, just being able to like get a free call or drop, or just, I think it's, let me see it. You put 2 cards for the top of the deck. It's your drop zone. Return a card, not Green Shade from this. Yep. So you basically just mill 2, and then you get to add 1 to hand. Very useful. But at the very least, they give you 4 copies of Colombard. This card is absolutely cracked. It is basically Leofall on steroids, and I absolutely love this thing. Like, yes, it's a counterblast, but it's not really going to matter that much. You get to search for any one target, and you just call it, and it's just so freaking good. Like, oh my god. But yeah, and then we also have 2 copies of the Stormlight Ghost Ship. Useful for the card draw, you know. Pretty self-explanatory for that. You got 2 copies of Cannoneer. Goes well with one of the G-Guards that we have in the deck. And that is it for the grade 2s. So, honestly, pretty solid. Again, probably would bump up the Greed Shade to at least a 3. But other than that, maybe add a Jesse the Ghosty to help out with the Ghosty package. But outside of that, universally not bad. Alright, up next we've got 3 copies of the Banshee. Very useful card. Maybe you could cut it down to a 2, but honestly, I think this is a solid number to get started with. 2 copies of Negrobone. I think this one you definitely need to like bump up a little bit if you're playing Night Rose and Specific, but again, you know, kind of your own preference. We got 4 copies of Dancing Cutlass. I think this is the one card you could definitely like cut a few copies of, because it really will depend on your preferred build at that point. I see some lists even running the original one, which is like Soul Blast 2 Draw 1, just for that draw engine. So it's just at that point, it's a matter of preference. And then we got 4 of the old Tommy the Ghosty Brothers, the Stride Fodders. The one that helps you search for Night Rose. Considering you only run 2 over the deck, this was a pretty good include. And then, for the grade 0s, we have 1 Grenache, which I'd highly recommend picking up one copy, or maybe 2 copies even, of the original Grenache, because that essentially is a really amazing countercharger that I'm kind of surprised they didn't tack in there and threw in there, but you know, no harm, no foul. We got 1 Overtrigger, and it's not the regular one, it is the, oh, spoiler alert, you get the Bless Favor, which, thank God that I actually did that.
It's the general Stoichea Overtrigger.
Yeah, but you know how sometimes they tend to just throw in the vanilla ones whenever they're giving out like decks and whatnot.
Oh yeah, thank goodness they didn't do that.
Yeah, we got 4 of the Heal Guardians from V. Got 4 Draw PGs. Did I screw this up? Nope. Okay. We got 4 Strike Crits, and then 3 Make the Ghosties. So universally good. You could easily cut this down to like a 1-off, but again, matter of preference at that point. And honestly, like, you could mess around with the trigger ratios a bit. I've seen a lot of interesting lists with it, so definitely don't be afraid to try it out. And lastly, we've got the G-Zone, which I think is probably going to be the one thing I would strongly recommend like upgrading a bit, because there are some cards that you're probably going to want like multiple copies of. So starting up first, we've got this version of the Night Rose. Not a bad card. Definitely something you won't go into as often as some of the other ones. Same thing with this one. You get 2 copies of this. This one I was really shocked about. They give you 2 copies of the 2019 Obadiah and give you 2 copies of the regular Obadiah. So very useful for that. This one is basically allows you to mill when you don't have any counterblast. This one gives you 5 for a single counterblast, so pretty good.
I actually didn't know that this one was a reprint of this one.
No, it's a
different skills.
Well, this one requires a counterblast, but then this one doesn't. But you only really use this one in certain matchups where they're damage denying you.
Yeah.
We get 2 copies of this Night Rose. I don't know whether or not she's still good at this point. I'd have to experiment with that. And then lastly, before we go into the G-Guards, we got Bartholomew, which is your main win condition in this deck, as well as the Bad Bounty. Honestly, I'd bump up both of these to getting at least another copy of them, because there may be some situations where you'll go for the Bartholomew turn, and then suddenly your opponent checks OT, and it's like, whoop, I just wasted the one copy of art from you. And kind of the same thing for Bad Bounty in a sense. I see some people, and I remember when in one of the Kingslayer events, somebody running the old Night Mist Break ride combined with this, and this was honestly really solid. So yeah, definitely GZ-wise, I would up some of these counts. I would take out a few of these, but honestly not bad. But definitely, I would highly recommend picking up another copy of these in particular. That would be like my first recommendation outside of some main deck options. Up first, we got this one. This is the Negranora. I'm pretty sure this is not the one that combos.
Which is the one that retires stuff?
So it is because of this one, the Negra Lily. I'll read you the full skill. Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards, retire it. When this unit is placed on Guardian, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one normal unit with Ghosty in its card name from the drop zone and call it to an open rear guard circle, and this unit gets plus 10 shield to the end of battle. Essentially, you're comboing off of Beatrix, where she's, when placed, Soul Blast 1 calls something from drop, and then Cannoneer calls itself off its skill, and then Cannoneer does Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, kill it. So that's the whole combo with that. And then one of the Premium Collection G-Guard, I think one is fine, you honestly don't need more. But yeah, that is Granblue. Honestly, a very good starting product. I definitely would recommend if you're wanting to get into Premium. But now let's move on to Pale Moon.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to just let you guys know that I got into Vanguard at the beginning of V. So I don't know Premium as well as I know V. So, like, when I talk about this deck, just know that I might be thinking about things a little bit differently than a Premium deck, but I would see if these would apply, as well as, like, if I were to pick from the Premium cards or which cards I would kind of switch around.
Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, V Premium does give a whole lot of good support. Obviously, for Harrys, you need this in the deck.
Yeah.
Like, this is a must for because the engine doesn't work if you don't have a full 4 Harrys.
Yep.
Interestingly, they only give you 2 of him.
Which I'm kind of surprised about, too, because I feel like you need at least 3 in order to see him at all, because if both of them go to damage, then you're like, well, there goes my whole strategy.
Yeah, well, you can heal one and call it from drop. You can put one in soul. So I get why they did 2, but I think 3 is more efficient. Obviously, in V, I play 4 because I don't want to get grade locked out of it out. This one is an interesting choice, though. Tricky Assistant. Doesn't give an Excel marker, which in V it's really bad because
you have no way to combo off of it.
No, well, not a whole lot to combo off of it. She's much better in other decks. I don't know if I'd agree for her to add her in a premium deck.
Because I gotta remember.
It's chuck one of your things and your opponent's things into soul, and then you gain power.
Okay, yeah, so that's
it requires a counterblast for it, though, and I feel like I could be... Yes, it helps with retiring or getting certain things.
There's a reason why this is
board.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
As you go in through the deck, you'll see why this is included.
No, but it's not just
yeah.
Yeah. Like, if I was obviously again for V, I would never add this in, but I guess we'll see what the premium stuff is got available. Let me just make some of this up with that. Actually, we're done with the great 3s and 4s.
Yeah, might as well just
move them.
Here, do you want to put them over here, or you got it?
Yeah. Okay. This is another one that's a must-have for, because he's the way you combo into the Starry Pop Dragon. Basically, you put him on the stage, you counterblast 1, you return it to hand, and then you can call Starry Pop Dragon out from either drop or soul or from hand.
So, universally very good. Very easy to search out, and with the way how the deck functions, like, you'll see him more than likely.
Yeah, and you should draw a lot to be able to get into him. Usually in V, I have no problem searching him out and putting him in. V, he's like an obvious 4-of as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the next set of grade 2s is Lunatic Dragon, which I run this in V as a full 4-of. I'm guessing with the other pieces I'm going to see in the deck, there's a reason why they only gave you 2. But this one is simply, if you call something out from a Harry Vanguard, you just tell your opponent, well, chuck that into soul.
Yep.
And it's very good to get rid of, like, certain threats.
Good to get rid of Honolese currently, before the errata.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other can of worms. Okay, so now these next 2, I don't know Premium that well, so I'm just going to read. The next one is this card. I was reading him briefly, but
Crescent Moon Juggler.
So I'm gonna read his. So his skill is Magia, Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on rear, if you have a Vanguard with Harry in the card name, which we do, you may pay the cost. If you do, Soul Charge 1, choose up to 1 card from your soul and call it to rear. That unit and this unit get plus 2,000 till end of turn. At the end of that turn, put the unit called with this effect into your soul. I guess it depends on what the other pieces are, but I feel like there's another card that could probably, I don't know about do this one better, but I feel like you're better off running the other Magia doll. The one that when it's called out from skill from Harry's soul, called out from soul from Harry's skill. Harry gets plus 10 and that unit gets plus 10.
Oh.
I feel like that would have been a better choice than this one.
I forgot you could do that. Because then that would, instead of it, like on a stride turn, that would be like, what, 37 on its own?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
But I'm assuming he's probably comboing with, we'll get to that card, but probably with Trapezist, if I had to guess. Next one is Dancing Princess of the Night Sky, which, again, I'm more familiar with what she does in V than in Premium, so let me just take a look.
I want to point out that she only just got this reprint. There was only one printing of her way back in the day. So.
Alright, well, let's see what she does. Counterblast 1, when this unit is placed on Van or rear, if you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or less Pale Moon and put it into your soul. I feel like that's kind of mid, too. I feel like you could have better options than this. I don't know if we have any other grade 2s Magia dolls that would do better, but I feel like there's other Pale Moon support that could do better than this, too. Like, probably Misdirection, where you chuck a grade 1 into soul.
And then you draw 2, I think it is.
You draw 2, and then you choose what you want from your hand and put it into the soul.
I could see that.
I'm not 100% sure. Again, she's probably another combo for Trapezist, which, again, we'll get to in a little bit. And that's all of the grade 2s that they came with for this deck.
Not terrible. I think in some ways I could kind of see why you would...
Okay.
I can see why you would probably want to like change the list up a bit, but that's one of the things about this is like this is still a very good starting product.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying it's not. It is a good starting product because a lot of the stuff from V is included in here. I just question some of the choices. Now, this is a good girl. She was originally just a promo before. This one, basically, when your opponent is attacking, you chuck her into Soul, and then you can use any Magia dolls, put them on Guardian Circle. And it combos well with the ones from V, because the ones from V you can just chuck right back into Soul and call them back out from Harry.
Yeah.
So, especially your grade 1s, because originally once your grade 1s went out to the board, your other Magia dolls.
Yeah.
How are you getting them back into Soul?
Yeah,
there was no way, but she is really good to generate that. I would honestly...
You probably bump her up to a 4?
I probably would bump her up to a 4 of.
Yeah.
No. If I even have extra copies of her.
Because wasn't she like a $20 card at one point?
I don't know if she costs that much now, but
probably not, but like, still.
Okay, here are some of the other grade 1s. They gave you 3 of this one, as I drop one. Of course, it was the shiny one I dropped.
Sounds about right.
But she's good because you call her out from Soul from Harry's skill, you countercharge 1. Anytime you can get countercharging in your deck is always a good thing.
Yeah, especially since this deck tends to counterblast quite a bit.
For B, yes, but you could play it in a way where you're not counterblasting as much, or you're kind of making up for the cost.
Okay, so it's not that bad.
This one I can kind of agree with the 2 of.
What does that one do?
Call it out from Soul, you draw a card.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So, I mean, you could bump it up to a 3 and probably be good if you want to have draw consistency. But I think it would more depend on your trigger lineup for this one.
Yeah.
But I know for V, he's pretty useful.
Yeah, because he helps you draw.
Okay. And now we're getting into more of the
premium goodies.
But I did read this one in advance, and I would say I wish I had this card in V. I wish I had this one in V, because this one's skill this is Masquerade Bunny, her original version. Choose a grade 3 from your hand and reveal it. When this unit is placed on rear from hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with Harry and its card name, reveal it, put it to hand, shuffle the deck. Choose a card from your hand and discard it. You don't know how many games...
Where you search the top 5, you don't find it?
No, not that. How many games I've played for where Harry in V is the main Vanguard, and I never see Harry, and I'm just left there sitting sad.
Yeah.
This is what I wish B had, to be able to just freely search the deck for the Harry, so that way I'm not G-assisting
Yeah, definitely.
more times than necessary.
No.
So I would kind of say she's a mandatory 4-up, because you're
Yeah.
not really going to run any other grade 3s in the deck, unless they're for support. And then
This thing, which I think they had a reprint back in one of the other like revival selections, but
just so you guys know, choose another Pale Moon rear guard and put it into your soul. When this unit is placed on rare, if you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, you may pay the cost if you do. Choose a Pale Moon other than purple trap pieces from your soul and call it to rare. So it's a combo extender, basically.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. It does help combo extend with the other 2 cards. Now that I look at those grade 2s, that I was like, they're kind of mid.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling it was the combo with her. But I don't know. I feel like we could do a little bit better.
You think?
Because
now let me ask you this: is this better than the V version?
I'd have to test it.
Okay.
And in Harry's scenario, yes, because unlike
pretty much any other Pale Moon build in V.
yeah, because in Harry's scenario, yes, in V it's definitely better. Because like you need to be able to have something to put something into soul from rare.
Yeah.
To use trapezist, and you essentially discard her to call out whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think she's a good choice for premium. I know she's got a whole lot of restrictions on her.
Oh yeah.
Alice.
What the hell was the other
Well,
one?
maybe future Ricardo can. Future old Noah could just put them on the bottom right here, what this card is restricted with.
Yeah.
She's a problem child.
Oh yeah.
Basically,
100%.
at the end of the day, she's a problem child.
Yeah, but that's a lot of Pale Moon cards. It's not just her. She's, you know, you have that one stride we'll get into later.
Mm-hmm. And then I just appreciate that she's shiny.
Even though you have an SP.
No, I don't have an SP.
I thought you'd had an SP.
No, that's the Silverthorn one.
Oh.
I wish I had her as an SP. I think she's a lot cuter than the Silverthorn one, but nope.
Sad times.
Yep. 'Twas not to be. Alright.
And then...
Oh, don't worry, I'm going into triggers. Over trigger. Obviously a must. You hit this early game and basically you just say kind of F you to your opponent, basically.
Now, let me ask you
As
this.
it's plus 10 in a crit permanently for the rest of the game. You
Now-
hit that on your grade 1. As soon as your grade 1 turn, you could probably hit this over trigger.
Now, I gotta ask this as somebody who's more into premium interactions. Do you think this over trigger is better than the more recent one that allows you to restamp something? It's specifically Harry. Because I'm curious about your take on that.
Hard to say. I mean, I know a lot because, like, here's the thing. Harry has some strides that you can restand the Vanguard.
Right.
And wouldn't you always want a permanent plus 10 in a crit to go with that Vanguard swing?
I guess,
That
yeah.
scares your opponent. That makes them think, oh crap, I need to guard.
Yeah.
So that's why I personally do like the Dark States over trigger. And probably why, I mean, you could always test it out, but
Yeah.
I think that this is still the better option. You also get your grade 3 heals,
Yep. Got your heal guards.
and they gave me the draw 4 of the draw PGs.
Yep.
And then they gave the crit. They gave these crits
The
for
stride
stride.
fire crit.
Yep, which I do agree with the using the crits where it's a free ditch for stride, because if you're running less grade 3s because of Harry.
You might as well be trying to like at least have that.
Okay, and they also gave you 3 of the stand triggers right here. I gotta read what it does though, because I've never seen them.
I've never actually.
Generation Break 1. Put this card on the top of your deck. When this card is put into your soul, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 card not named Prankster Girl of Mirrorland, put it into your soul, and shuffle the deck.
I can see it as like a 1 or 2 up. You don't need 3.
Probably not. I'm just surprised that they didn't really put front triggers in this deck.
I-
I'm pretty advent for if you've got multiple. Well, I guess Harry only calls the stage, so that's probably why they were just like, well, you might as well be hitting for crit at that point. But
I also could kind of see it in the perspective where if you've got enough for this stage for the full activation of the Starry Pop Dragon, when you swing with the Starry Pop and then swing Van, and then you hit the stand trigger at that point and you give it to Starry Pop.
yeah,
That's 2 attacks that are, you know.
yeah, I mean, yeah, Starry Pop does block Sentinels from coming out, but I don't know if it blocks the
not the Sanctitude. That's the
Yeah.
only one that does it. And any G guard that has the effect the way PG is like the Shadow Paladin one. It doesn't block that, but you know that's the reason why they put the stand triggers in for both of these. I feel like.
I just realized my deck set, like yours probably has less restrictions to it. Granblue probably has less restrictions.
I don't even remember if Granblue has any specific restriction or not.
I know you can't use that grade 3 in Stoicheia anymore.
Oh, the Ruination,
the
Dragon.
book order.
But do you even count that like as an actual restriction? Because that I feel like that needed to go anyway.
Oh yeah, it definitely needed to go. Like I'm just was thinking if Granblue really had any noteworthy bans to worry about, because that was the thing about this deck set, and I'm gonna pull out there. I was like, well, what are they gonna do about like the cards that are banned in English or in Japanese differently? But I don't think Premium has that many.
Well, here's the funny thing. This is an English exclusive set.
Oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to look at what I do know here first. I know this G guard. I'm gonna do the G guards first. I know this G guard requires you to turn up this G guard in order to use this.
Well, just any G guard, but yeah.
But essentially, yeah. And this one is Generation Break 1. Choose a face-down G guard from your G zone and turn it face up. When this unit is placed on G, if there are 4 or more different grades in your soul, you may pay the cost. If you do, it's kind of a mid-skill. It gets plus 15 shield.
Still,
but there's much better G guards.
You have better options.
Like this one. This one is probably one.
Honestly, I'm amazed they didn't put that as a 2-of.
Yeah, I'm amazed too. This one, basically, you put it on G. And you don't have to turn the G guard face up.
Which is good.
But you choose any amount of cards from your soul. It gets plus 10 for every card you put into soul. But then your opponent has to choose a standing rear guard. To put into soul.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks about this card is you don't get to choose.
Yeah.
This card would be amazing if you got to choose.
Yeah, if it was just a Denial Griffin. Like, that would actually be very cracked.
Yeah, but you don't get to choose, unfortunately.
Honestly,
but I still say this is much better than this.
In some aspects, yeah, because the
then
shield value is more with this.
And also you're not wasting an extra G guard.
Just for that,
Just for that cost. And then this one I run as a 1-of in my Pale Moon deck. My Nightmare Doll Pale Moon deck. Just on the off chance I do put a PG in the soul by accident, I could still call it out to block the attack.
Yeah. So that's actually universally very useful.
So now we should probably talk about those units that are in there. 2 that I use in my I keep saying Pale Moon because I'm used to only having 1 premium deck, and it's Pale Moon and it's Nightmare Dolls, and I know that you all know that I'm obsessed with Nightmare Dolls and premium, but there you go.
So this is the one stride. These are the 2 strides I feel like any Pale Moon player who's picking this deck up for the first time, you need another copy of both.
You could probably get away with
running 4 of this, or maybe 3.
Well, for my Nightmare Doll build, I run 2 of her and 3 of her.
Why the 3?
So that way when I have to turn something face up, I can just turn another copy of her face up.
And not have to feel like you're suffering.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So that's why I do that. Usually I feel like you don't need any more than 2 of her, because usually by the time these 2 go, if you're drawing a lot, and you've already done them twice, then you're already close to decking out at that point, so it's probably better to just go on the offensive after.
Yeah.
And I consider this stride usually more of a defensive play. You can use it as an offensive play as well, but when I do it for Nightmare Doll, it's usually a defensive play.
Just to build up more hands so that you can survive whatever.
Because 1 Vanguard attack, 2 Vanguard attacks. That's what I was saying also, why the Ogre Trigger is better for that. That's 2 Vanguard swings.
Potentially 2 Vanguard swings with the crit
No, that's
pressure.
not potential. It is 2 Vanguard
I'm just
swings.
saying, in case you do hit it. You do hit the OT.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's possibility to kill, so I'm actually surprised they didn't include 2 power.
I could also kind of
copies
see it,
each.
but at the same time, it is a bit of an odd choice for this, but I also think they needed to also reprint some stuff, so...
Yeah. Then this one that just came out too. She's interesting.
Yeah.
And she's probably going to work well with this deck. She is Counterblast 1, shove all your rear guards into soul, and then call out 2 for every 1 card you put into soul. So basically, as long as you call out like half a board, you'll get a full board back in return.
Yeah.
But what's also good about her is that If you call out 4 or more different grades, she does have a skill where
It's
your opponent has to guard with 2 or more cards from hand.
Yeah, so she has a battle door effect. Very useful overall.
The only downside is that she doesn't get like extra power or extra vanguard swing. So if you're playing it against certain clans and they hit a defensive,
It kind of feels bad, but at the same time, if you use this while they're at 4 or 5 damage, I feel like you're still gonna hurt them in the long run. Anyway.
yeah, it depends on where you are in terms of the game state, which would be the best. But I feel like for this with Starry Pop Dragon would probably be very
disgusting, considering that every time you call the Starry Pop off a skill, it gets an Excel marker, which is pretty bonkers.
Oh, he's terrified thinking of it. He's laughing in fear right now.
Yeah, because I just gave you Pandora's box essentially with that now. In case you ever feel like taking a break from Nightmare Dolls, which I don't see you doing anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. I do love Nightmare Dolls. Okay, so now we're getting into the strides where I really don't know any of these. So let me just pick up this one. Generation Break 2, Soul Blast 1, choose a face down card from your G zone, turn it face up. Choose up to 2 cards from your soul, call them to separate rear, and they get +4 until the end of turn. And at the end of that turn, put the units called with this effect into your soul. Choose the same number of units as the number of face up cards. Name Dreamy XL from your G Millward in your G zone, and until end of turn they get. When this unit attack hits a vanguard, choose up to 1 card from yourself. This is a very dangerous combo with Alice. Alice in particular.
Okay, explain.
You call 2 things out from Soul,
Right.
and then if you get the hit, then you're calling 2 out from Soul essentially. If you don't get the hit, you're still out. You still combo with Alice. But thankfully, that can't happen because lo and behold, there's another restriction.
Oh, lovely. Masquerade Master Harry.
This was every Pale Moon's player way to get around Link Joker, and unfortunately, people can still use it, but they can't run it with Alice.
Yeah.
That is a ban that has been put in place.
Yeah.
And that's why when you play this deck, as good as it would be to play Alice, especially with like this kind of G guard.
G guard for G unit, but yeah.
Especially with this kind of G unit. Unfortunately, because of that ban, you wouldn't be able to use the main...
Unless you just took it out outright, but I feel like you definitely need it, specifically for the Link Joker matchup.
If you're building Harry, why would you pick something else that's not a G unit?
Because people used to actually tech the Alice combo in Harry back before.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, but they did the restriction for a reason because it was
bonkers.
Yeah. So here's the skill. Counterblast 1, choose a face down card from your G, so with the same... Oh, so you're going to need...
G Persona Flip, yeah.
So you're going to need... I don't know why they gave you 2 instead of just 4 copies of this then.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Alright, anyway. What's that? Same card name. And turn it face up. Choose 2 cards in your other circles and put them into soul. When this unit attacks, you may pay the cost if you do. Choose up to 3 from your soul. Call them to separate rear at the end of the turn. I guess when you look at it that way, it was only targeting 2.
Yeah.
I guess that's not as bad.
It hurts, especially when decks like Chaos in particular are 3-attack deck, unless you go with a Cosmic Dawn.
Yeah.
So I think that was the main reason why. It's because, like, oh, I can take my front rows back, and Chaos Breaker skill wouldn't go off because you're targeting the circles at that point.
Oh, there's another Harry thing. Dragon Masquerade Harry, also.
Yeah, 2 copies of that.
And this is Generation Break 3, Counterblast 2, choose one of your rear guards and put it into your soul. When this unit attacks the vanguard, you may pay the cost if you do. Choose up to 3 cards from your soul, call them to separate rear. Then if you have 5 or more rear guards, your opponent chooses 2 of his or her rear guards and puts them into his or her soul. At the end of the turn, put the units called with this effect back into your soul. Honestly, against Link Joker, that's probably very helpful. Because then you call out a board and then you're not punished for calling out a board.
Yeah.
Later on.
I guess in this situation, because it doesn't target circles, that's the only problem. So if you have a fully locked board, then it's like, well then, better still go into this thing, you know?
It might be better to have another few copies of this one too.
Really? I guess it depends on how you want to build it too.
How would you do it?
I don't know. I'm not the Pale Moon expert here. I feel like that's something you're gonna have to figure out.
Yeah, I'll have to maybe do like an update to say how I ended up building it with all this. And then the last stride is this one.
It's Mephisto, if I remember correctly.
What does this do?
Let's see.
Choose a face down card from your J zone, turn it face up until end of turn. This unit gets continuous Vanguard during your turn. All of your units get plus 1,000 for each face up card named Curtain Announcer Mephisto in your G zone. And choose up to one card from your soul for every 2 face up cards in your G zone with the Magia ability. Call the chosen card's separate rare, and those unit gets plus 5 until end of turn. At the end of the turn, put the unit.
This is one you could easily gut. I feel like
yeah.
Just put in another copy of each one of the Premium Collection strides and just gut him. Like, I don't feel like this ever will come up. I feel like
only against Link Joker if you're really wanting to spite them and not have rear guards on the board for them to punish.
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know. Like, to me, out of both of these decks, like, you definitely got the better end of the deal because in a lot of ways, like, we're still missing a lot of pieces in Granblue. I feel like
yeah,
there's
like,
a lot
I
of
can work with
like the fact that we don't have certain pieces from Stoicheia or so specifically Navigator, Skull Navigator, which allows you to mill 5, is kind of ridiculous that they don't include that in as at least like a 2-off. But I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's weird. I know. Let me put the hairy one back on top. There we go. I mean, overall, though, I think this is a good first attempt at them making a deck set for premium so people can get into it easier.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to get into premium and you want someone else to join with you with on it, or you just want to be selfish and buy both decks, because why the hell not? Definitely give it a go, especially if you're coming from Vanguard Zero or from standard format. Definitely give it a try. I honestly just if you know somebody who has these decks in general, just borrow it first, and then see if you like the gameplay, and then if you do, then definitely pick them up. They're pretty, the deck sets right now, they're pretty expensive, but give it like another couple weeks or so, that a lot of these prices will drop in the secondary market, I feel like. But that's going to do it for this unboxing. This one was a bit of a long one, but we had 2 decks to go over, so at that point, might as well. You got any final words before we close out?
I'd say this is a good first attempt at making a deck set for premium. I do hope they do more. Like, I'm interested to see what they would do with like Neo Nectar and stuff like that.
For any of your clans in particular?
Well, just all clans in general.
I'm curious to see what they'll do next for that, too.
It really is easier for people to get into premium if they could just buy like a completed deck, essentially, and then just work with pieces from there instead of having to purchase them all separately like you currently have to do. In
some aspects, but yeah. That's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments section, guys, if you picked this up for yourself or you intend to pick it up. And until next time, this is Noah alongside
Mirror Card Neko,
and we'll catch you guys later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.